detrimental to everything. We'll move on to the next one. The Celtics, the Timberwolves. This was a close one, 107-105 victory for Boston. Jaylen Brown, 29 points. Jason Tatum. By the way, Jaylen Brown had 7 threes. 26 points for Tatum. Anthony Edwards had 28 points, 9 rebounds, 7 assists. Gobert had 10 points, but he had 20 rebounds. Timberwolves, though, have lost back-to-back games. They've also lost 5 of their last 7. We are now 16 games in. Obviously, this was one of the bigger trade scenarios that went down in the league. So the Ant Randle Gobert situation. I mean, Lou, we love to look back with hindsight and go, that trade was awful. Or maybe it wasn't. What are you thinking so far?
Oh, man, that Randle move always confused me. And it has absolutely nothing to do with Julius Randle. You know, you look at this team last year, you saw that they were building in the right direction. They were moving in the right direction. You finally started to get that feeling. The Timberwolves were back to being in the mix of the conversation of, you know, the top teams in the Western Conference. And you got young stars powering that. You know, the stars were aligning. Then, boom, you trade Cat, who was having a stellar last season, alongside Ant-Man and Co., and you kind of put yourselves in a trick bag by trading Cat. You know, that trade pulled the curtains back on the business of basketball and showing sometimes tough decisions that are made aren't, you know, only just basketball, but it affects your bottom line. And they made a business decision based on them being a small market team and where they were financially. You know, I'll let Chandler expand on the business side of that conversation, but pure hoop from my vantage point, I never thought this will work. You know, you had a clear 1-2 punch that worked and you shake the tree based on business. And now, you know, you're in a struggle and you're trying to find a rhythm. You're trying to find chemistry with adding new guys in. You know, granted, they thought DiVincenzo was going to be playing better basketball than he's playing, you know, but outside of that, Rudy Gobert is a guy that's always been in the paint. That's not going to give you much off the block. He's going to be, you know, one of those guys that's going to be in the defensive player of the year conversation all of the time. He's going to be able to anchor you on the defensive end, but offensively, he's not going to contribute as much as, you know, a Cat would, you know, one of these bigs that can space the floor in this evolving NBA game of ours, you know. And so you have that, and then you add Julius Randle, who's also a ball dominant guy who needs the ball to have an impact on a basketball game, and you just completely changed the dynamic and the identity of your basketball team. I never understood that from the beginning of this trade. So bad decision.
Yeah, the timing of this trade was weird. This team was on the rise. They were so much fun to watch. They played both sides of the ball. Cat and Ant had this dynamic. And, you know, it's interesting when a trade happens like this, of this magnitude, you have an initial feeling of who won, and right away I'm thinking damn, the Knicks got better. Like the Knicks, when you add Cat to that roster, they got better, and naturally I just thought the Minnesota Timberwolves, they got worse. The spacing now is interesting when you have less of a good shooter as Randle and Cat. How did him and Gobert work? Now you can see that paint is clogged up now. Anthony Edwards is shooting more threes than ever. Their offense drastically changed and got worse with just the departure of Karl Anthony Towns. He's that good. He is that lethal of a shooter where he's perfect for Anthony Edwards. So that alone is why I didn't love this trade early. Now I think you look at, they thought they were basically, they're stuck with Rudy Gobert. I think they could get more for Towns is I think why they did this trade. When you can get a Julius Randle, when you can get a Dante DiVincenzo, who by the way, like Lou just said, he's not playing near as good as he did when in New York, but you get a piece like that, now all of a sudden it's more attractive than what you could have possibly got for Rudy Gobert. So I understand why they did it. But man, they were on such a rise. They were rolling, and then they fixed what's not broken. And it just didn't seem like the right time. I didn't love it. Naturally, you can see offensively, it was going to make them a worse offensive team, which is taking Cat off that roster and having more of a mid-range, less shooting big like Randle. So I think they're going to be fine. I think they have enough talent. But after the year they had last year to have the start this year, it kind of feels like Dallas. It feels like maybe they got a little bit worse.
What about the Dante thing? He was averaging like 15 and a half last season. He's down below 10 right now. Again, we're 16 games in. Is this just simply different situation? It was last year a fluke? Like, what are we? And by the way, I love Dante DiVincenzo. So even saying fluke hurts my heart. But here I am, Chandler. What was it?
No, I don't think it was a fluke at all. I think he's a great role player. I think like that he is who he is. I don't think what's the ceiling with him? I think he can go get you 20, 25 on certain nights. He can knock down the three. He can get out in transition. He can defend. He's a versatile player. He's a player that I would love to have on my team. But I think we need to make expectations for him fair. He's not this all-star type of player. He is a great player that can play with anybody. I think his shooting is he struggled a little bit. Again, he's in a new system, new market, new team, new teammates. That's going to naturally take time. But at the end of the day, he is what he is. He's a great value at what he gets paid. He's a great value at what he can bring to the floor. But I didn't expect much more from Dante DiVincenzo, to be honest with you. I think it's pretty fair to say he's going to average, 10, 11, 12 points, 4 assists, do a little bit of everything, be a great teammate. So I think he's exactly where he is. Now, when you watch this team play, they play slow, they play with no pace. They're a horrible rebounding team for a guy like Rudy Gobert who can go and get you 20 a night. So they have a lot of things that aren't working in their favor right now. But to me, the big glaring thing is just their offense. It's so stagnant, it's so slow. It's not as open because they don't have as good as shooting.
Oh, man. Do not waste Anthony Edwards. That's all I'm asking. That's all I'm asking. I think I speak for everyone. Let's move on to some headlines. Lakers losing to Denver.